Welcome to topic number 1 of the Dear Young Minister program, sponsored by Shepherd's Fold Ministries. Let me give just a few moments of background information about what we're doing and why. I posted this on Facebook several months ago. According to recent studies, 4,000 to 5,000 pastors quit each year. I immediately received a direct message from a seminary friend of mine whose ministry and life I really believe in. And he said this to me: you can add me to that number. I'm announcing next week, so nothing is public, but I have to step away. I've tried for too long and I got nothing left. One of the issues that we hope to address when it comes to you working at full strength is the issue of burnout, which comes in two forms. One is quitting, walking away. And by the way, if you go to shepherdsfoldministries.com/articles, right there, you'll see a couple recent articles of why I left the church. This minister just walked away. And then a rebuttal 3 days later of why I stayed. And this is not part of your assignment, but if you're interested in reading that and then my take on that, 2 of the 4 issues that this guy talks about are part of our Dear Young Minister program. So, but just for fun, if you're interested in looking at that, that's what we're talking about when we're talking about quitting. However, there's another issue, which is passive quitting, where a minister feels like they're 75% of themselves. They're not working at full strength. When it comes to Matthew 4:19, Jesus said, "Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men and women." That sense of "follow me" is lacking, and they're just not able to be themselves. Some of the research that we have about that, if we go to the shepherdsfoldministries.com website, now I'm going to be needing to change this because we've started this program, but I do have this listed. Nearly half of ministers under age 45 are considering leaving ministry. Based on this article right here, which says, and this point right here, 46% of pastors under the age of 45 say they are considering quitting full-time ministry. The highest age group percentage of those who are considering quitting. That's a troublesome issue for me because that to me says there's passive quitting, where they're showing up and just not able to give their best. And then there's just a connection there in my mind of what God has called them to be, who God has called them to be. And what they're able to live out is just a portion of what it could be. I want to help address that. So that's what we're talking about, and a little bit of the background. A quick reminder of some of the key stats regarding our 2019 research project. 2,500 participants from over 12 denominations, representing 100,000 years of ministry experience. With the 433 pages of results, it's a research project that was featured twice recently in national publications. And remember now, it's qualitative. So here's what that means for us. Small efforts in the right issue or topic yield large global, by that I mean person-wide, all areas of your life, your entire well-being is impacted for the good by addressing these key issues. And so that's the qualitative element of that study. As a part of that too, let me give you this key to help you see. Remember now, we had a numerical score of well-being for each of the participants. The lower the score, the better. And so what I did was make a key instead of give numerical data, which can get a little bit confusing. This helped clear it up for me and hopefully able to help you as well. So I'm going to chart answers to questions and the average well-being. You'll see the blue level is strong well-being. Things are really good. Mid-range is yellow. Danger zone is red. So now let's talk about topic number 1. Here was the statement. This is the question. The most impactful of the 161 questions that were asked of these 2,500 retired ministers. And the statement was, I often feel lonely or isolated. Notice that that's a negative statement, right? So we don't want to be lonely. And so we're looking for disagreement with that statement. And so those who chose strongly disagree, you'll see had the best well-being score. It was low, it was strong. In fact, of all the questions that we asked, this was the best average, numerical average we had in the entire research project. Notice if they say somewhat disagree, there is a movement in the wrong direction, but quite a big movement. This was their average well-being score for those who said they somewhat disagree. Then those who said, I'm not even sure. Well, their average well-being was about right here, letter I on this scale. Those who said I somewhat agree, that was here, letter L. And those who strongly agreed had, again, now this is the other extreme, the worst extreme, the worst numerical average of well-being scores among all participants among the entire research project. So a couple things I want to say about this. One is I don't know how you would answer this question. Let's say you say, I somewhat agree with that. Here's my point. If we could just move a little bit, if we could work on some things and get a little bit stronger at that so that you would answer after the next couple weeks, I often feel lonely or isolated. If you move from somewhat agreed to not sure, that in and of itself makes a huge difference in your overall well-being. So this is worth the effort in order to see some progress in our overall well-being of life. Now, let me throw you a curveball. I told you that in this program, we're going to look at the top 3 issues, the ones that had the greatest difference in overall well-being averages based on the answer to the question. Now, so that technically number 4 is not in our project, but I'm going to include it, and here's why. It's related, okay? So number 4 is this one. I have continued to make friends in recent years. Okay, you want the most agreement possible, and so those who chose strongly agree, doing real well. Those who chose somewhat agree, big difference. Still doing okay, but move to that level. Those who said not sure or somewhat disagree are in the red. And then those who said strongly disagree are doing very poorly in their overall well-being. So, since this is number 4, and it has to do with making new friends, I've come to the conclusion that the way to deal with being lonely or isolated is to develop the skills of making new friends. And that's based on number 1 and number 4 of our research project. Okay, so let me give you a few of my personal thoughts. The first one is this regarding loneliness, the issue of making new friends. So we're going to be talking about how that's a learned skill, and you have to continue to do it in order to stay active with it. And so then the rest is naturally, and I can reference some readings that talk about circles of friendship, and the closer you get, and then you can get to the core of who you are, 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 who are at the core of your close friendships. What I don't want to do is suggest that we need to overextend ourselves or be inappropriate, unhealthy in relationships in which we overshare, trying to build trust and develop closer friends. I don't think we need to do that because I think that happens naturally. And so because of this research and what we've said, I think if we can just develop the skill of making new friends, the rest will take care of itself. Secondly, I just want to raise the question, is it possible that ministers sometimes face obstacles toward friendship that others don't usually face? They may, and I don't want to be one who complains. We're not whining about the ministry to which we're called. However, I have heard multiple stories of people who they're on the golf course trying to make a new friend, and they say, well, what do you do? Well, I'm a minister, and then all of a sudden walls go up. So whether that's perceived or whether it's truth, I don't know, but I do think it leads to the ability of ministers to work hard at making friends and to learn to do that better. And then third, I'd like to bring a question that was brought to me. I thought was just a remarkable question, a great question. Is there a difference between extroverts and introverts regarding this issue? And my answer to that question was no. There's not a difference because a An extrovert may feel comfortable with around 20 people, and an introvert may feel comfortable around 6. But the point is for them to be comfortable. So they're going to answer this question based on their feelings, and it doesn't matter what's going on. There's a sense in which the answer to whether I'm an extrovert or introvert doesn't matter. Uh, it just matters that we're making new friends and addressing the issue of loneliness or isolation. So it's based on how you feel, not a specific number of friends or social environments. Okay, and the second point I made is this, that since just a little bit of a slide going one direction, you've moved from somewhat disagree to not sure, that's going to impact your well-being to the worst. It's going to make it worse. And so we can't afford to slide. We can't afford 6 months later to answer this question differently that goes up and to the right, but and becomes and impacts our entire well-being, the way we look at life and what's going on in our entire well-being. So whether you're an extrovert or introvert, we want to be working at this skill. Okay, those are a few of my thoughts. Now on to the assignment for this week. I have 2 articles for you to read. Both happen to be from secular publications. I think they're very insightful. First is How to Make Friends as an Adult Without Being Creepy. Great title. And the second is I hired a friendship coach to help me make friends. Here's what happened. Now, this is a lady who in her 20s was naturally gifted at making new friends. She said she was in a sorority and was just the queen of friendships. And then woke up 20 years later having not exercised the skill of making new friends and didn't even know how to go about doing it. Felt very lonely and hired a friendship coach to help get her out of that. And one of the points that I want to make in your reading of these articles is that it's a skill. It's a skill that needs to be exercised. So here's the project for you, and it's due whenever you get to it. Whenever you let me know when you get it done, and I'll talk about the incentive here in just a minute. The project is to make one new friend. Now, it has to be outside your ministry assignment, okay? And you'll learn some ideas in these articles, but consider your friendship circles a hobby that you do. Parents of friends of your children. Volunteer in the community to do something. Join a local team or a club. Do something to make a new friend. Just one new friend outside your ministry assignment. And in doing so, I think you're actually honoring your calling to your ministry assignment by becoming one who has a stronger well-being because of stronger relationships and friendships, by developing and nurturing the skill of making a new friend. Now, we're going to have an incentive for each of the projects, and so the incentive for you is this. I'm going to give a $15 gift card to you, to the coffee shop of your choice, once you make your new friend, for you to take your friend out for coffee, compliments of Shepherd's Fold. So when you make your new friend, okay, ever how long that takes, I had some people in the program last spring who made it just like that. Others who took a few weeks. Whatever it takes, do it and let me know, and I'll send you a gift card. Okay, Thursday is going to be our Zoom reflection time. It's going to be at 10 o'clock. If I'm going to give you a link to the Zoom, but if you forget, just do tinyurl.com/Dear Young Minister October 5, 2023. And we'll have a giveaway at the beginning of the meeting. It's going to be a fun meeting. We're going to kind of reflect on what we've learned. What do you think about it? What are your thoughts? And we'll do that as a cohort together. Okay, thank you for the work that God's doing, and the Lord bless you as we get to work on some of these issues.